starting 0-2. Not good. LeBron and AD talking about taking advantage of the last 2 practice days to get back on track.
It's great. It's great. We talked about it. You know, even after the game, we would like to have 2 days in between our next game to be able to go over the things that we could have done better in the Clipper game, but also just continue to, you know, get our system in place offensively and defensively. So it was great for us. Yeah, I think every day we've gotten better. You know, tough trip for us when we went abroad, you know, because of the practice times and you know, things of that nature. So we kind of fell behind a little bit, but you know, I feel like, you know, since we've been back, we've been able to make progress ever since we've been back.
We corrected some things over the past couple of days, and I'm excited to go out tonight and try to have those things corrected in the game tonight.
Stephen A. Smith spending the week out in L.A. He's at Staples Center and joins us now on SportsCenter. Okay, so it's only this second game. I get that. But what does LeBron need to do a little bit differently from that opening night loss against the Clippers?
How about simply showing up, being aggressive? Your career 27-point-per-game scorer. You're universally recognized as one of the greatest players to have ever lived. When a superstar that happens to be the reigning defending NBA champion and a reigning defending NBA Finals MVP shows up into your house, in your city, in your building, staking a claim to it all, stand up and do something about it. Simple. That's all LeBron has to do. And I suspect that he'll do that tonight because he's going up against Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley and Bogdanovich and guys like that. It would have been nice to see a Tuesday night against Kawhi Leonard, but nevertheless, this is LeBron James. This is one of the greatest players that we've ever seen. We all know what he's capable of, and he's the reason why the Lakers are recognized as a legitimate title contender coming into this season. So I won't disrespect him by implying otherwise. I'm simply saying when you know it's Tuesday night, it's the opening night of the NBA season. We've spent months looking forward to this. Answer the call. Great players always do that just because. And it would have been nice if he had done the same.
All right, speaking of great players answering the call, let's go coast to coast from L.A. to Brooklyn. You got a matchup with the Knicks and the Nets. And before we get to a question, I want you to hear Kyrie Irving yesterday talking about this team and also the environment and where he plays.
We got a lot of goals to accomplish this season. The team is excited. Obviously, we know in the months to follow, we got a sleeping monster that's on our team right there. So, for real, that's my best friend, and I want to send good health to him. But for the time being, we're going to take over the whole entire city. So
Take over the city, Stephen A. We saw a long line of fans outside Barclays leading up to this game tonight. What's at stake in a game like this?
Well, not much. The fact of the matter is that the Knicks are pretty close to irrelevant. We recognize that. Nobody's expecting them to have a great season, even though they will be better than last year. You got guys like Marcus Morris, Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., R.J. Barrett, the rookie, that threw in 21 points in his opener. But you're a franchise that had a city anticipating that individual, Kyrie Irving, along with KD, would show up in your house wearing your uniform, and that's not what happened. They ended up going to Brooklyn, New York, and Kyrie Irving is the perfect person to make the kind of statement that he made because he shows up after talking about how he salivated about playing for the Nets since he was 4 years old, and in his first game as a Brooklyn Net, drops 50. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about that I wish I had seen from LeBron James Tuesday night in a win or a loss. And we all know what KD's going to do once he gets healthy. So, again, they're in position to claim New York City, at least for the time being that they're in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. I don't think anybody would question that.
Brooklyn's going to be rocking the night. Stephen A. Smith from L.A. For much more, let's go now to the nation's capital to get you ready for Game 3 of the World Series. Here's the Clippers are so far. New digs, new results for Golden State. They may have to get used to this, and it's not fun. Not good for the Warriors in their first game at the Chase Center. They got tuned up by Kawhi and company. Golden State allowed 141 points, the most it's allowed in 516 games under Steve Kerr, and the most allowed by any team in its first home game at a new arena, according to Elias. The Clippers shot over 62% from the floor, the worst mark the Warriors have allowed since 2010 when they were at the Spurs, and the worst mark they've allowed at home since 1991 against the Bucks. And the Clippers led the entire way. Just the Warriors' fourth wire-to-wire home loss under Kerr. 3 of those losses have happened since March. Draymond, Kerr, afterwards, not good.
I'm not a moral victory type of guy. I'm not leaving this game looking for something to build off on. We sucked, and we got to get better. I I'm not a coach, so I'm not about to go watch a film and say, oh, well, we can build on this. I really don't give a damn about what we can build on. We suck tonight, and we got to get better overall.
This is more the reality of the NBA than, you know, the last 5 years we've been living in a world that isn't supposed to exist. You know, we're starting over in many respects. I mean, this is not, you know, not a one-off. This is the reality. There's going to be nights like this year, so you got to play through it, and you got to keep fighting and keep getting better, and that's the plan.
And Michael Wilbon joins us now in SportsCenter. Michael, you were at that game. You watched the Clippers dominate the Warriors last night. When it comes to judging the Warriors' performance after just one game, what did you see?
Well, the first thing I had to remember, Kevin, is how young they are. I'm going to make sure I don't miss any names here. They have so many guys that are young, like 23 and under. Marquise Chris, Amari Spellman, Eric Pascal, Kai Bowman, Jordan Poole. There's like 2 rookies and a second-year guy in there. They're not going to be familiar with the Warrior way. They aren't even going to know what it is yet. So, yeah, you do have 3 All-Stars out there, and Steph, Draymond, and D'Angelo Russell, who wasn't their All-Star, but an All-Star nonetheless. Looney was getting back in the lineup after having basically missed the whole preseason. And you realize that is going to have to be a work in progress, and I mean a work for a fairly long time. So I didn't think Steve Kerr was exaggerating at all when he says this is the new reality. He's got all those young players who are going to have to be worked in. You got a league of guys who want to get back at the Warriors for taking their lumps, you know, for what, 5 seasons? Mm-hmm. So new reality indeed, and not a pleasant one, as Steve Kerr suggested on many nights this season.
Let's talk about the new reality in L.A., and that is Kawhi and the Clippers. They have looked strong in 2 games against the Lakers and the Warriors without Paul George. They hope to get him back sometime in November. What does that mean for everyone else in the league?
Doom. I mean, nobody wants to judge a season, Kevin, on 2 games, but when you've got Harkless and Lou Williams and JaMychal Green and Harrell, and you've got Patrick Patterson can come in and start games, and as you mentioned, their second best player they haven't even put in the lineup yet. Reggie Miller, after broadcasting last night's game, walked off the floor and he turned and said to me, "That's load management the old-fashioned way you earn it." And of course, he was talking about Kawhi Leonard playing 21 minutes, having 21 points, and then take the night off. Yep. Because we're so far up, you can have your load management tonight. And wow, the Clippers, they have become suddenly and instantly for this season must-see TV in the NBA.
And that's why Doc Rivers right now has a big smile on his face. The Clippers face the Suns tomorrow night. Michael Wilbon.
Basically, I'm going with the guys who I know I can win with.
Well, the guys he knows he can win with, not shockingly, when asked to pick from the all-time list ever, he starts with Scottie Pippen. He added in Magic Johnson, Worthy, Hakeem. Would you guys substitute Steph for anyone on this list?
You're not substituting anybody for Magic. He won 6 titles with Scottie. There was going to be somebody from North Carolina on that group. I mean, look, you could have thought Michael might have said Larry. I mean, another dream team, another dream team guy. Mm-hmm. And you know I know how much he respects Hakeem. So there's no real surprise, is there?
No, I don't see any surprises. I mean, I tell you, a guy to get overlooked on this list a lot is James Worthy.
Yeah.
To me, James Worthy was one of the toughest guys that I had to defend. A great offensive player, great footwork, skills, could shoot the basketball. And I'm glad Michael put him on that list because he's definitely deserving. To me, one of the best power forwards in the game as far as being able to play the perimeter as well as in the paint.
I liked Michael sort of bringing this up only in that once you start crossing eras in the NBA, not that you're old, Wilbon. I mean,
yes, I am. It's okay.
Ever young.
It's all right.
There is such recency bias, right? And
yes.
now with the internet, we have huge recency bias. And yes, we have some all-time Hall of Fame players. Steph Curry is going to go down as not just a Hall of Famer, but the greatest shooter ever, right? But there is some recency bias on the guys who played the last 10 or 15 years and guys that MJ and Scottie are talking about from their era and the era before that.
They get totally forgotten. They get totally overlooked. You know, there's some great players. Look, I always focus on the Dream Team alone. You could have Chris Mullin on there, right? I mean, Chris didn't have NBA championships, but obviously that's Michael wiped out. Michael and Scottie wiped out a whole generation of guys. Hakeem won those 2 championships while Michael was away. Could have had Patrick Ewing on that list. You could have David Robinson. But the notion that you have to have somebody from the 21st century is flawed. You don't.
No.
And Michael was talking about guys. The question wasn't who are the 4 greatest people of all time. Who would you run with?
Who would you run with?
Well, why wouldn't he run with the guys who wants to say no? You can't run with him. He didn't win enough on that list.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was Hakeem got the fewest number of championships on that list?
Yeah, exactly.
With 2? I mean, people need to not be prisoners of this moment.
Right. Well, I said last time Michael and Scotty played together, it went okay. Just went okay.